Hey folks, welcome to Collecting of Carl. This will be my very first on the floor coverage of the Anime Expo 2026. It was my personal first time, and I had learned that I just don't have the right equipment to record audio. So I think the only audio that you'll hear that's clean from the convention floor is my little tour with Mr. Stu Levy himself. So I'll let him speak on that. But with that said, I'm gonna have to narrate over some of the parts where I'm walking and talking. Hopefully I can interpret and remember everything that I said. But if you're into Anime Expo or any Comic Cons, hope you enjoy this little recap. So this is basically the part where I'm talking about the pure scale of the Anime Expo. I attend Comic Con all the time and often try to really study what's happening at each scenario. But for Anime Expo, this was my very first time. A few things I noticed: the audience was much younger. Uh, Two, the audience was extremely engaged, and three, purely just based on scale. You look at the volume of people that were attending, as well as the folks that were building out booths and the vendors that were in representation. I just felt like there was a lot more access to technology, a lot more access to resources, and you realize that their connectivity with fandom is very real. There are no one in there that I noticed that was kind of half-assing, and so it was really special to see. And let's continue the tour. It's interesting. I entered, as you see, parking C. You can see in the background on my right that this is usually where there's a special parking lot. And I specifically talked about how I thought it was really funny because I live local to Los Angeles, and it's not like I try to cheat the system, but there are times when I only need to stop by the LA convention or some sort of con for like 5 minutes to say hi to somebody. And so, because of that, I've learned that this parking lot C is usually underutilized, and on top of that, undersecured. So, if I need to stop by and say hi to someone, I typically would just walk in through this uh, uh, parking lot, and no one will stop, and I'll go do what I gotta do and come right out, drive away. Now, Anime Expo is so big. They are using this whole parking lot as a area for Artist Alley, for the 18 plus, and for some of the publishers that are trying to get direct access to fandom. So you saw earlier Tokyo Pop's behind me, which we'll circle back and revisit. But I thought it was really cool because there's the comparison of like the LA Comic Con Artist Alley that was also down here, but this one is different, man. The energy just felt really strong, and the fan base was real.
All right, here we are. Tokyo Pop booth. The one and only Mr. Stu Levy himself. There we go. What's up, Mr. Stu Levy?
Hey! Oh, hi, Carl. There he is.
Hey, how's it going in person?
What are we doing here? Are we doing for online?
Yes, we are. So,
Nice.
what's happening? Tell us about the setup here at Tokyo Pop.
We are giving away many items, and we have a library, manga reading library, where people can check out the books and read and hang out. Next door, we have our Anime Expo, which
Nice.
we're promoting. This launches next spring. That's right next door. Come with me.
We'll follow you. There we go.
Come over here. This is launching next spring. It will be our first big anime hit. We're super excited for the cast.
Nice.
And as fans, yesterday the authors were here. This was fantastic. And we also are relaunching Princess Ai, the 20th year anniversary. Let me show you that. Oh, Princess Ai.
Tell us about Princess Ai.
This is created with Courtney Love from Nirvana fame and Hole back in the days of goth rock and punk rock. She created this manga together with my team. We have, it's a gothic fashion, romance, action story, 20 years old, Yazawa Ai. We did Nana, we did the character design, and now we're launching a huge collectible project that you can start on Kickstarter. And that will just be the start of bringing Princess Ai back into the world with anime, merch, all kinds of things in the works. So this is just one of the exciting projects we're doing at Tokyo Pop.
Awesome. Thanks,
Yes.
Stu.
So most people don't know this, but Stu Levy and I go back 20 plus years. When I was in my 20s exploring the music industry, touring with bands, he was always there for me. He was very passionate about music as well. So I would visit his office, and at the time, he is the man who brought manga to America. And the company grew massive quickly. And I still remember walking through the halls of the office, hearing about his experience, hearing about his vision, his plans, trying to figure out how we could collaborate. And there wasn't much intersection there, but for both of us, we always felt that there was something. Who would have thought it would happen in the form of collaboration 20 plus years later? So that's where life takes you. But here I am walking through the 18 plus area, which you had to go in with a wristband. And to me, I think what I was talking about was that it wasn't a big deal. It's like any other Comic-Con. I just felt like, you know, nothing we haven't seen. These kind of exclusives are very common in this space. And so I think it wasn't surprising to see what it is. But I did then exit to the Artist Alley, and I was pretty blown away, man. I think my eyeballs were just like not able to get off some of these booths, because you look at their transactions and the volume of engagement that was happening here. It was mesmerizing. I think one of my favorite Artist Alley is New York Comic Con, but that Artist Alley, with the amount of business that happened for artists there, had nothing to do with this. So I could totally imagine creators doing crazy numbers while they're here, and fans were really engaged in big ways. I do wonder though, over time, because the Japanese IP space is way more strict than the American side, if they're going to start clamping down on this type of activity, because obviously none of this is truly licensed. Most of it is fan art being sold to fans, and these Artist Alley, I think, are kind of like the lifeblood of conventions. As much as folks like to move towards the celebrities and whatnot, I do feel like the celebrities do bring eyeballs and one part of it as a facet, but the Artist Alley, I think, is where the real engagement is. Look at that alley; it was just jam packed completely. So very impressive. I think the Artist Alley at AnimeCon is where anyone should want to be if you're an up and coming artist, especially having a more anime aesthetic in your works. And I do feel like as a fan, for myself as a publisher, I even want to be able to spend more time in the future checking out who the artists are and the kind of work they're trying to do, because I'm kind of curious. I have friends who are, quote unquote con artists. They tour from conventions to conventions, and they hit artist alleys, and there's a whole group of them. They're like gypsies, right? And they go to these cons marketing themselves and promoting their works, mostly derivatives of fan art. And many of them has actually moved on from American superheroes to anime characters and anime heroes, because they said that's really what sells. So it's interesting. Even on the clothing side, I have a friend who's pretty high up there in the fashion world, and he always wears these like really cool anime t-shirts. And he said for the most part, 10 out of 10 are not licensed. They're like fan art, they're cool designer anime shirts that are created for the market. So it looks like there's a lot of opportunity here. The Artist Alley has and the designer surrounding the anime world has a pulse as to what's going on, and I do feel like often the representation of some of these IPs are not fully aware of the potential. So I think there are a few brands I spoke to over the weekend and some of the business meetings that are going to be investing in this, but I do feel like there's been many years where this audience was underexposed, but I do feel like it's mainstream at this point. There's no question. You look at the diversity, the age, in segmentation, and in ethnicity backgrounds. It's very well rounded across the board. So to say anime is a niche, I think it's a miscategorization. In fact, I do feel like in short time there's going to be a lot more, what would they call, anime adjacent content that's coming to the market for all of us to see and engage with. And perhaps I'm also seeing some mergers of these two worlds. That is becoming more and more common in the days to come. So let's keep looking. So this con is pretty mind-blowing, but real quick reminder to just comment below you like this and subscribe to the channel so I could do more of these. So now I'm outside. I am at the end and on the way out of my little tour at Anime Expo, and one of the things I recognized was it's much bigger. So in previous years they struggled with capacity. In fact, people were really angry about not being able to get in. Lines were like 2 or 3 hours long, and you just saw the magnitude of people spilled out into the streets. This is not the same as like LA Comic Con, which also happens at the same venue. This is way bigger, and so here you're even seeing cosplayers fully dressed up, playing out scenes. I think this was a little towards the end of the day, but I remember seeing way more people than this. And what was really cool about walking on the street of Figueroa is typically that's where all the traffic is, right? I still remember 2000 when the Lakers won our championship. I was at the time Crypto Center right there. It was Staples Center. I ran in circles with all my friends, and then we ran down this very street all the way down back to USC, high-fiving everybody. And I remember we were just, completely, hyped and just going crazy. And our hands were like pitch black by the time we got back to school. But now this is set up to be a full-on food court. I almost literally felt like I was at like a night market in Tokyo, because all the food was relatively authentic. I think there's a little like night market twist on it, Americanized style. Everything's a little fried, everything's a little more gimmicky, but I really enjoyed the time here and seeing how much others enjoyed it as well. So I want to talk a bit about Azuki. So I did record some narrative here. I was heavily invested in this community during the days of digital collectibles. It was huge. A lot of it has to do with, one, I think I believed in the idea that Web3 could bring royalties and fairness in creator royalties back to art. Number two, my friend Arnold Sang, aka Steamboy, is the creative director and artist for this brand. And he put a lot of time and effort into it. It paid off, and in fact, I wanted to support as part of the community. In fact, we issued a comic book series on it, which has thus has then evolved into something that 24/7 will launch later in our manga format. But Azuki was a really strong community and now has kind of pivoted from the Web3 roots into manga / trading card games. So saw their activation here. That morning I was having some meetings in the business suites and also saw their presence through anime.com. So want to just do a quick comment on that.
I love Dun Dun Dun. The best. Dun 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 rocks. Jesus. Awesome.
When I was walking here, I was basically going between halls, going from the West Hall to the South Hall and the Kensha Hall, where everything was happening. And I was also reflecting on the business of anime and manga. Now, why was I reflecting? Is because I knew it was gonna be a long walk, so I wanted to basically cover what I was learning that morning, as well as my trip to Japan back in May. So the anime and manga industry is very different in the way things are set up, because in America, often as a producer, your responsibility is to raise the financing, to recruit the creative team, and then be able to package it in a way that, one, you could sell as a package, or two, create the package and then sell it to someone who can then distribute it and market it into the market. And if no one wants to do that for you, you're on your own. You have to do that by yourself. Now, the anime and manga industries are actually extremely mature in the way they structure themselves under what they call a committee model, especially when it comes to adaptations. Now, a lot of times franchises are being tested in America straight to movies, straight to television series, and if it does well, they'll continue expanding it and they'll go out to licensors to, create car commercials or like merchandising and products. But in the world of manga and anime, the foundation of it all actually starts with the right idea, which we had in America, where at one point comics was the dominant place to test an IP. But we lost that. We lost our way. They got bought by studios and ultimately mined for all the great stories and art. Now, with the world of manga in Japan, it's a healthy market. I mean, in a way, it's still periodicals. It's really cheaply produced and doesn't cost a lot for a ton of material. So everyone on trains are reading mangas and consuming these stories. And so as a producer, though, once you actually acquire an IP or get the rights to the manga, you're responsible for way more than upfront work, meaning you have to get a bunch of partners to buy in on it, which is what they call the committee format. So as a producer, you would maybe invest in like 10% of the IP itself to produce this movie or whatever else. But what you want to do is then you have to go and get a merchandising company involved. You have to get a t-shirt company involved. You have to get a distribution partner involved. You have to get a streaming partner involved. And everyone basically invests into this pot to make these movies real and make these merchandising real. So that's why when you actually then see a anime or manga property come to light, all the infrastructure is in place already. You don't see that in America much. In fact, our product lines are usually running a little bit late, unless you're like a Marvel or a Disney product, which then they're way ahead of the game. These are like sure bets. Manga and anime, it's a collective effort. Like, it's a true faith in what they're bringing to the market, and in each of their businesses, they're a certain belief that this will do well. So they are all investing the resources into it. So I think it's a beautiful thing. I think there's always a lot of complaints from the Western front that it's too slow, but to me, it works really well, and I love it. So my final thoughts, I love this place. I am sad it took me so long to visit Anime Expo. I look down into this hall and I just see the passion, the excitement. For me, there was a ton of nostalgia as well, because when I used to be the manager of my comic book shop, my boss used to have a huge selection of VHS animes, and I used to be able to borrow them for free and take them home. Obviously, my parents was not happy when one day I asked them to sit down with me to check out this new anime, and it was like tentacle hentai porn, but it was eye opening, to say the least. I mean, it just showed a whole different world as to something you don't see in American cartoons. But it was still very interesting. Of course, when they went to sleep, I pulled it out and watched it again, because to me it was just so like crazy that they were able to make stuff like this, right? Obviously, those aren't part of the whole committee business and not part of mainstream, which is to why they have this whole like 18 over section. So I do feel like at this point, looking at Anime Expo is beyond a niche. It's mainstream in a way where I think there's probably a lot more opportunities for anime conventions than they are for additional Comic Cons. I think Comic Cons are oversaturated. I was at Fan Expo a couple weeks or last week in Anaheim. It was like their first Southern California version of the Fan Expo. Mark Hamill was there, and there was a good amount of like big name talent there, and I think they all did very well. But majority of vendors actually struggled to break even. I actually just got the phone with someone who was willing to give it a try, but was a little disappointed as to what the outcome was. But here, look at this. There is true hunger and true excitement. It kind of reminds me a lot of when Marvel was at its height, and people loved and wanted to just buy in on the franchise and wear the costumes and they're chit-chatting about the stories. I feel like that's really faded away, and it's unfortunate. But manga is here, anime is here. You're seeing that the production companies' presence are in force. I think Netflix and Hulu had presence as well, because anime to them is still a niche and growing sector, but I think it's very fast growing and they can no longer ignore it. And I've talked to a few production companies. They were also maybe a little ahead of time in trying to build the kind of K-pop demon hunters of the time. It was also cool to see a lot of friends that's been in the industry for a long time. We didn't have reasons to chat, but I felt like this last 5 months of learning that I've taken has allowed me to actually have a nice conversation with them. So thanks for checking us out, guys. enjoy this video. If you like and subscribe below, I will do more of these. And thanks again, and we'll talk soon and continue collecting.